not everybody is going to like what you do. Some people just hate everything. Some people hate you. Some people don't like blonde hair. Some people don't like glasses. Some people don't like, you know, you cannot please everyone. And if you try, you're just going to run yourself into the ground because nobody's ever going to, not, you can't please everybody.
All right. Well, welcome so much to the Indie Shelf Podcast, a show where
Thank
we
you so
interview
much.
indie authors, and we only interview them after we've read their book because it makes the interview so much more fun.
Well, I appreciate it, and thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Oh no, it's great. Actually, I was a privileged one because the book came out today, about, at least on my time, 7 hours and 15 minutes ago, and and I already read it. I got a sneak peek.
Yeah.
So tell us about yourself. Who are you, and what got you into writing?
Um, let's see. I'm Peggy, and my pen name is P.S. Bartlett. Um, let's see. I've been published for 13 years, 13 books, 13 years. But no, I'm lying. It's longer than that. Somewhere thereabouts. Anyway, published my first book, Fireflies, in 2013. I've been writing all my life. Started out more or less thinking I was going to be an artist, and I still love art. I still paint. I still draw. Um, do a lot of crafting, things like that. But um, writing, it's always been there in the background that I always wanted to write a book. But my life was so consumed. It was so busy. I had kids, you know, married, kids, house, jobs, all that. So I really never had time to sit down and write a book. And then somewhere about 2012, I was like, nobody needs me anymore. So now's the time. So my husband and I had joined a gym to give us something to do. And one night at the gym, I was on the treadmill and I just had this epiphany. I started hearing this voice in my head of this kid telling me, to tell his story. And so that night I came home and I sat down at the computer and I started plotting this book called Fireflies. And it's about a boy who is gifted um, it's a magical realism, supernatural story. And I pitched it to a lot of different, agents and whatnot. And then somehow or another, ended up pitching it to an independent publisher, and they wanted it. So I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have a clue. I had to learn everything. I'm like, wait a minute. All I did was write the book, and now I have to publish it. I have to do all this. I have to do. So I had to do more or less a crash course in how to go about doing this. I mean, she was great. She found me an editor. She took care of all the marketing. She did everything, and the book did very well for about the first year. And I was in the midst of writing a sequel to the book, and the book sequel was almost done. And I reached out and I said, I'm ready to go when you are, just let me know. And she said, oh, I'm not going to be able to get to it, for at least 6 months.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, what do you mean? I was one of your first authors and you're telling me I have to wait 6 months to get an editor? But anyway, we parted amiably. And in the meantime, I learned how to self-publish. I decided, I mean, every book I've written, well, except for one of my series, um, I more or less pitched to an agent, and I just got so over it. I was like, what are you doing? I mean, you're still going to have to do all your marketing. You're still going to have to. I think Hiro-J, the book that launched today, was the first book that I have never pitched to anyone. I said, you know
Oh,
what?
really?
I'm just going to do it all myself. work during the day as a marketing manager, um, sales for a copier company, office machine company. And I've been working there. This is my 20th year. And
Oh, wow.
but during COVID, I got furloughed a couple days a month. And I'm like, no, I need my money. I got to make some money. So I joined Fiverr. So I said, I'm going to start taking on some editing and beta reading jobs. Well, let me tell you what, in the last 2 years, I I am constantly busy and I love it. I mean, I only work
Nice.
with indie authors. I keep my prices fair because I know what it was like, back in the day when I was, paying editors after editor after editor. And not, I mean, you have to have an editor. I mean, there's just no way around it. And, your eyes are not enough. And
Yeah.
so now I have like so many indie authors. I absolutely love all of them. They're awesome. I mean, their books are so good, and they're all different genres. I do everything from
Yeah.
memoirs and nonfiction to epic fantasy, and because I love everything. But
We have
anyway,
a
go ahead.
question from the chat. What genres do you
Okay,
write?
do I write?
Yes.
I started out in fantasy, historical fiction. Those were my first two books. Then
Okay.
from there, I wanted to write. I love. I mean, staying with historical fiction. I've always been fascinated with pirates. I've been to the Caribbean. I don't know how many times. We go 2, 3 times a year. We love it.
Nice.
Um,
I'm
and
from the Caribbean.
just,
I get it.
I
Get the
mean, I'm
charm.
just sitting there on the beach. Yeah, sitting there on the beach one day in the Bahamas, and I'm like, man, what if there was a pirate ship going by? You know what I mean? And I'm like, or even in Jamaica. And I said, I'm gonna write a pirate story, but it's gonna be girls. It's all girls. So my books are called The Razor's Adventures Pirate Tales, and I actually still have one more book to write in that series. I will do it. I promise. I won't end up like George R. R. Martin and leave you out there hanging for 10, 15 years. Um,
Okay.
but anyway, I love this series. I had the most fun writing it, but it's such a niche genre.
Hmm.
Not everybody wants to read pirate romance stories. Now, don't get me wrong.
I don't know.
Most of the books are at least too spiced. But these are some really wild and crazy girls. Now they're not wild and crazy. It is not a bodice ripper. These girls are in control. They are, you know what I mean?
They're the one
Um,
ripping the bodices.
exact. Now there's a novella. I keep looking up because my beautiful son, had made for me this huge canvas of all my book covers. So I'm sitting here
Really?
looking up at it, and I'm like,
Oh, that's
yeah.
a great
I mean, as
reference.
long
Let's see it.
as
Let's
I
see
don't,
it.
if I don't, what do you call it?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So now I
Oh,
have
that's
to have another
cool.
one made.
Okay. So it's a contemporary romantasy. And what inspired that story? And why now? How did you go from pirates to aliens?
Well, actually, I went from pirates to three short stories, three
Okay.
novellas, three totally different, you know, three totally different genres. See, that's the thing. People are mood readers. I'm a mood writer. It depends on what mood I'm in as to what I write. But when Hiro came about, the reason for that was back in October, an old movie from when I was a kid that I absolutely loved called Starman. I don't know if you ever heard of Starman, with Jeff
I don't think
Bridges.
so.
Um, yeah, that was the inspiration for Hiro-J.
The premise came first, or you were just like mostly vibes?
But I'm going to say vibes
Okay.
while I was sitting there. But once I got over here, I started. I don't know if anybody else does this. Character names. You know what I mean?
You named them
I
first?
Yes, I name my
Okay.
characters first, and I have names like I'll see a name or whatever, and I'll put it right in my phone. I mean, it
Okay.
can even be a street name. Like I'll be driving by a street, and I'll go, "Oh, that's a really cool name," and I'll put it right in my phone.
Yeah.
So like for instance, in where is it? In Amber Wake, which is part of the Razor's Adventure series, I was at work one day and I was on the phone where I got a phone call from a guy at one of my vendors, and I never had talked to him before. And he had this really cool kind of like Jamaican accent. And I said, "What is your name?" I said, "I love your accent." And he said, "Rasmus." And I went, "Rasmus?" And I'm like, I heard of the god Erasmus, the god of the sea or whatever, safe sailors and something like that. And I went, that'd be a really cool
Sorry.
name. I'm like, "Do you mind if I steal your name for a book?" And he's like, "What?" And I said, I said, "If I write it, I'll make sure I email it to you. Give me your email." But, and yeah, I mean, I swear. So I have a whole note section in my phone of names. But yeah, that's where I start. I start with the names. I pick out my characters, who they're going to be, right? Put their names in and all their characteristics, everything, their background story, all of that. And then I go right to my outline and I start
Oh,
putting the story together. But however,
okay.
outlines are not written in blood. You can backspace
No.
them. And so sometimes things get moved around, things get changed, but
Okay. So
yeah,
where did Hiro come from? Where did that name come from?
it was in my phone.
It
It
was in
was
your
one of the
phone.
ones yeah, it was my son, when he was in high school, um, he was in the band, marching band, and his best friend in high school's name was Hiro.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah,
That's a cool
and
name. Is that
yeah,
short for
it is.
something?
In the book it is, but Hiro, my son's friend, that was his name, Hiro. Yeah.
Wow, cool.
And but I don't know if he spelled it the same,
Okay.
Hiro, but I'll have to ask that. But yeah,
But that's how you wrote it on your
that
phone, so
name
that's
just
how
came.
it came out.
Yeah, yeah, that's how I wrote it on my phone, so that's how it stayed. I had a lump in my throat.
Um, so spoiler alert, Hiro isn't human. But yet he feels deeply human. What were your inspirations for
Hmm.
his character?
I wanted him to be innocent. You know what I mean? I wanted him to be this innocent, gentle person, who was also capable of great, powerful, destructive things.
Okay.
Because to me, true power is when you have the power to destroy a world,
Yeah,
but you don't.
but you
You
don't do
understand
it.
what I'm saying? That's
Yeah,
real strength. That's when
sure.
you know someone is strong, is when they're able to contain that, and that's why emotional intelligence comes up so much in the book, is because you have to have the emotional intelligence to be able to control your emotions. If you can't control your emotions, your life is going to spiral out of control.
Hmm.
And the thing with Hiro is, that was the conflict with him and his brother, was his brother was not able to control that. You have to know when is the right time to use that power. And
Yeah.
you want to use it for good. That's the point of the book.
And so for everyone that's here and just got here or don't know what we're talking about, this is P.S. Bartlett. She wrote Hiro-J. It came out today. It's basically a story about a girl that gets hired at a scientific facility to study something, and it ends up being a non-human being. And the story kind of goes from there. Do you say that's a good summary? A good
Yeah,
little
that's a
sneak
good
peek?
summary.
Okay.
Let's just say that's a good 10,000 foot view. Yeah.
It is sci-fi. It is a contemporary sci-fi romance. I would say that's a safe. You called it romantasy, but I think it has so many like sci-fi terminology and kind of a
Yes.
lot of.
Yeah, it did. It did. I did a lot of research. It wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. And I didn't want the book to get too scientific. I
Sure.
didn't want to weigh it down with all that, because I wanted to write something that was, number one, make you feel good in a
Yeah.
way. I mean, to kind of give you a good feeling, to to touch your heart, to see how people like Lana. She started out. She was just shut down basically. She didn't want any. She didn't have any friends. She was just to me she was kind of lost.
Yeah.
Um, And
Going through the motions. She was just
yeah,
like,
going through the motions. That's what she was doing. She just wanted to get through that, get through the summer, get through her senior year, get her degree, and just go on with her life. And I mean, she was basically alone, except for, until Willie came into her life, who kind of started pulling things out. I love Willie. She's
he's
like the
great.
best side character because,
He's so great.
she's the one that's going to be like, come on, you can do this. You can do this. You know what I mean? She's got so much confidence, but at the same time, she has a lot,
Of
you know what I
baggage.
mean? Yeah. Yeah. But she shows Lana that, don't shrink away from things. Go for it. Do it. See what happens. Don't play it safe anymore. And
Yeah.
but yeah, Willie was fun to write. She's a great, she reminds me of one of my friends, and yeah, so a lot of times those characters kind of creep in, you know.
Let's talk about Lana real quick because she's very
Okay.
reserved, like you mentioned. She's
Mhm.
very methodical. And
Mhm.
then she gets thrown into this very like high emotional telepathic situation.
Mhm. Like,
How
yeah,
was it like how did she come to be? How did you maneuver that transition?
it started with her hearing this voice and not knowing where it was coming from and thinking that she was losing it.
Yeah.
And she would question whoever was around her at the time or whoever she was talking to, like, did you say something? And no, I
Yeah.
didn't say anything.
And I think that was really clever that you kept doing that while reading the story. Like she kept asking people, "Did you say something? Did you hear that?" I thought that was clever, yeah, because usually sometimes authors like, oh, they're hearing these voices, but like there's no
Nah,
interaction, there's no
I
acknowledgement that you would be like, wait, where did that come from?
right. Because I would think that if I was in a room full of people and I was hearing a voice, I would be like, did you hear that? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I wouldn't just go, oh, I'm hearing things.
No, and I
But
think you were very successful at capturing kind of that small. I went to a small town for college, and I remember reading the first part of your book and be like, wow, she really nailed the small town college. Every small town college has like one company that kind of hires everyone out of it. Like you nailed the vibes of the place. The setting is very well done. It's really picturesque and fun, and I can imagine the house really well. Do you live in a small town? Where did the setting come to be? Where did that all come from?
I have no idea. I just saw it in my mind. I'm a very, very vivid. I actually have a photographic memory to some degree. And I know I've been in a house like that. I mean, my mother grew up in a small town in Nanticoke, Pennsylvania. And
Okay.
I've been there several times, when I was growing up. And it reminded me of a house like that. And you got to love Mrs. Blanchard. I mean, she's
I
just the
love
sweetest
her.
thing. She's the sweetest thing, and she loves Willie, and Willie reminds her of her when she was young, and she's wild and
Yeah.
free and a hippie and all that stuff in the '60s. And but that was just in my mind. I had Mrs. Blanchard, and I'm like, okay, what kind of house would Mrs. Blanchard live in? And that was the house. So that's where that came from. But yeah, as far as that whole, having one place where everybody works, or
Yeah.
everybody goes home for the summer and then you have your few people that stay and the only patrons are, the locals and the elderly people that come in for lunch or breakfast or whatever.
Let's talk about Logan. Where did he come from? He's really sweet and he's very handsome. You wrote
Heaven
him very
above,
handsome.
heaven above. Um, yeah, he was just the sweetest guy. He had a cool backstory too. He's super,
Yeah.
super smart, jock. He was a jock, but he was super, super smart and he thought he was cool and all that kind of stuff. Um, but he, I think he genuinely cared about the project and what they were doing. And it was kind of, rude awakening for him to find out that, you know, but I
Ulterior
won't say
motive.
anything else. Yeah. But I don't know. He's definitely Clark Kent in my mind. He's got that whole Clark Kent vibe going on. He's hot and sexy, but he maybe he does know it, maybe he doesn't know it.
He
You know what I
knows.
mean? He's not. He's definitely not Rico Suave. Let's face it. You know what I mean? He's a dude. He's like a dude. But he's a really smart
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, but I think when they were talking up at the summit and he was like giving her his backstory, like he knows how hot he is. He just doesn't weaponize it, I guess, as much as he did
Oh,
prior.
he gave her the smolder. He gave her the smolder. You know he did.
Oh yeah.
He gave
Oh
it to
yeah.
her.
I
Yeah.
felt the
He
smolder and I
wasn't
was
in
over here.
love. That's where he definitely, I think he came from the same template as Clark Kent. So we'll just say
Which is
that.
funny because he's not the alien.
Right. Hmm.
No, that was a
And
very
then, yeah, the
interesting.
alien's even hotter. No, go ahead.
You think, you think so?
um, Personality wise, I think in the next book we're gonna get to know Hiro better. It was kind of hard to get to know him in this situation. We
Hmm.
got to know his sweet, gentle, tender side, but we, you know, we're gonna find out more in the next book. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, he was definitely very innocent and very
Hmm.
knowledgeable at the same time. That was a really
Yeah, he's
cool
very smart.
juxtaposition.
Hmm.
We did have one spicy-ish scene
Yes.
at the end. It was kind of
Hmm.
closed door. Do
Yeah, it's
you
a
do you
slow burn.
well, yeah, it was definitely a slow burn. And I was like so stuff happens and even like we're like 70-80% into the book and she's like, I don't know if I need to think about it.
Hmm.
Why was she so reserved?
Well, he was an alien. She's probably thinking, what kind of future could I have with an alien? I mean, she's the type of girl that she's looking for a ring. She's not looking for a fling. You know what I mean? So she's probably thinking to herself, she's probably thinking to herself, God, am I going to be able to, if I decide somewhere down the, I mean, I'm only 22. If I decide somewhere down the line that I want to have kids, am I going to be able to have kids with this guy? Am I going to be able to have a life with this guy? What am I getting myself into? And then she comes to that threshold and she's finally like, you know what? Billy's right. Just do it. Just go for it. Just live your life. And
Yeah.
so she decides to just go for it. So, I mean, and that's the cool thing is, while I don't know if other authors do this or not, I've never asked any of the ones that I work with. I'm going to start asking them that. If at any point during the book they start making notes for the second book, if they're going to do a series, because I was doing that, making notes for the second book, like, okay, we need to go further with this, we need to go further with this, we definitely need to go further with this, especially, that what you were talking about. But yeah, it was kind of behind closed doors. I wanted it to be private between them. I
Okay.
guess if that makes sense.
Sure.
Something, I mean, you know what's going on. You know what's happening.
No,
It's just
you definitely put
you're
on.
just not getting, Lana's on second base and Hiro's coming around first. You know what I'm saying? You're not getting that. You're getting, you're just. I didn't, I didn't want to go there. So it's like I thought that I don't know. I just felt like this was let's not get too graphic. Let's just
Okay.
you know what I mean? Maybe in the next book, he'll be throwing her around a spaceship. Who knows? So we'll
Okay.
see.
Well, I have two questions. I have two follow-up questions on that. One is, do you normally do open or closed door in your books? And the second one, it's so funny that you say that you didn't want to divulge too much about it because I verbally cackled when they made a whole big deal that his member was out and exposed and like she was seeing it. So I just thought that was so funny that that was made into such a big deal. And then we didn't get a play-by-play.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, when I was that age or whatever, and if I saw a guy, suddenly absolutely naked standing in front of me, what would my reaction have been? And I would have been like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? Like, am I supposed to be seeing this right now? You know what I mean? And,
It's so
and just
funny.
his reactions are so innocent and so sweet that you instantly forgive him because it's like he doesn't even know he's doing it. He's like, oh, sorry. I didn't know you could see that. And he's
Okay,
a virgin, for God's sake.
he is a virgin, which which she was super stoked about.
Yeah, she was. I mean, she was really nervous until she found that out, and then it was like, ah, okay, I've at least had one boyfriend.
I thought that was a very interesting dynamic that I haven't seen out and about a lot. So kudos to you because it took me by surprise.
Good.
I
I'm
was
glad.
those last couple of chapters were for fast pace, but they were fun.
Oh, good, good. They were supposed to be. And see, that's the whole point of the book. Like I said, I didn't want to write anything heavy. I didn't want to write anything, you know, this wasn't one of those rip your soul, blah, 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 whatever you want to call it, books. This is a summer read. This is a beach read. This is something where you can sit there and you can just go, oh, you know what I mean? Or you can laugh. Or you can go, oh my God, that was so cute, or oh my God, that was so sweet, and oh my God, no, when
Yeah.
danger, when you get to the danger. Yeah, because I
Okay.
mean, somehow I managed to write this while, since October, while I was doing, all these edits and beta reads and everything else. So it was like,
Good for
I mean,
you.
I had my notebook full of schedule. I mean, from this time to this time, work on this time to this time, work on this, and from
Wow.
11 p.m. until 1 a.m., work on Hiro. And it would I would only be able to do it like 2 or 3 nights a week. So I mean, it was one of those get it right the first time deals, um,
Okay.
which never happens. But that was my aim, was to try to get it right the first time.
Well, we have a question from the chat. What's your main character's favorite pizza topping, and what's their favorite ice cream?
Lana, I'm gonna say she's a cheese pizza girl. She doesn't have any. I mean, if anything, it would be something like pepperoni. That's it. And definitely vanilla ice cream.
Okay.
Definitely vanilla ice cream.
Yeah, she's a
Yeah.
very
French vanilla.
French
French
vanilla.
vanilla.
Okay.
Yes.
Um,
Unless Willie's talked her into putting like caramel sauce on it or something by now. She might have. At least that. Maybe some
yeah.
sprinkles.
No, and that's actually perfect. Thank you so much, Chad, because I have a question regarding food because your book is full of food. Like you make such a big deal about breakfast and lunch and dinner. Why did you do that? I feel like
I
I
don't
know
know. I
everything they
just,
had for
you
the
know
whole book.
why? I read so many books where people don't eat. They never eat. It's like, I'm like, don't you eat? You know what I mean? You're human. Don't you eat? And it's very rare that, people talk. I mean, unless it's a book about food, where it's, food is a character basically.
So why swimming? Why all that aquatic? Like there's so much water and swimming and
Hmm.
aquatic stuff in this book. Almost, I don't know, maybe food wins, but almost as much as food.
Hmm.
Why did you do that? Why swimming?
Well, the whole thing with swimming is with Lana. I mean, I feel like swimming is a solitary sport. She's a solitary person. She's very, and swimming is something that you do yourself.
Hmm.
Nobody else is moving your arms and legs. You're not throwing a ball. You're not hitting a ball. You're not, hitting. It's something that is all you. It's all you. When you're in that water, there's nobody going to help you get across that pool. And to me, that was the perfect identity for her, the perfect sport. But of course, the incident that had happened years before, in the water, was a big deal. But the water, the answer to the water is going to come as well in the second book, as to why
Okay.
there's so much aquatic reference.
Okay, fair
So
enough.
yeah, because remember, anytime in the first book, you're really setting a stage. You're really
Yeah.
getting everybody, everybody out there. You want, they're coming out onto the stage, and they're, more or less auditioning for the reader and saying, get to know these people and this their situation and everything. But wait, there's more, and
Yeah.
that's the fun part.
From the comments, what is your favorite scene?
I can't tell you. I can't tell you because then it's going to give that scene away, and I'll just
Oh.
say it's in. Let's just say it has something to do with a skylight, and
Oh, really? That's your
yeah, yeah,
favorite?
yeah.
Oh, that's sweet. That's like okay.
Well, I think it is because I like scenes of discovery when you
Okay.
discover something, and something new, and something that is kind of like a miracle or miraculous or something like that. I kind of like that. I also do like the hill scene with Logan, her and Logan. I think that was kind of cool.
That was
That's
a
a
cool
lot of,
scene.
that's big discovery scene. Um, and something to do with a motorcycle.
Yeah.
That was fun. So,
Uh,
yeah.
I really like the scene, the first one that you talked about, with that scene. But my only thing about that scene that was so awkward was that the person watching. Oh, that was so weird to me.
Oh, that. Yes. Oh, gosh. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I hated her from the beginning, and then like having her there, I was like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta have a hater.
No, no, but
You
you
know what I
gotta, yeah.
mean?
I don't think
You
it
gotta have a
detracted
hater in the
from the
book.
scene, but it definitely like
Yeah.
made everything like more like I don't know. I was tense.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he didn't care. Lana
No, he
cared,
didn't
but
care.
nah, he's like, whatever. We don't worry about that kind of stuff.
There is obviously a deep energy theme in the book,
Mm-hmm.
uh, both metaphorical and literal. Um,
Mm-hmm.
why? I feel like there's something lying there. What's the meaning of energy for you in this book? Why did you employ that strategy for your extraterrestrial being?
Well, because if you think about energy, okay, energy makes up everything. Um, and energy can be anything you want it to be. And it kind of goes back to what I was saying before. It can be good, it can be bad. I mean, energy, in modern terms or whatever, some people might call energy vibes. And you can either have good vibes or bad vibes. I mean, and I think we're all, if we're in tune with ourselves as people and as beings, um, that you can walk into a room if you're really in tune with energy. You can, at least I know I can, and I can be in that room for 30 seconds and I can tell you what the energy is in that room, whether it's good energy or bad energy. But I've been like this since I was a kid, to where I there were certain people that I just didn't want to be around, where I could just tell, I could just feel it coming off of them, like they're not good people. And don't get me wrong, I mean, there's been times in my life that I have not listened to it, not one little bit. And they call it the elevator voice. And that's when them elevator doors open and there's somebody standing in that elevator and they don't look too good and they don't feel too good. And you get on the elevator anyway and you end
Yeah.
up in big trouble. So to me, energy, that's what I mean by energy in this book. It's like learning how to, of course, in Hiro's case, he can manipulate energy. I mean, but that's because they're more highly evolved, and that's what that's their whole society is based on energy and using energy for basically having it at their disposal, and but at the same time, not abusing it and not using it to hurt anybody else.
Do you think that Hiro was in love with Lana from the very beginning, or do you think he kind of grew to that?
He definitely grew to it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he really didn't know her, except for that one first meeting, and he really didn't know her. He only knew that there was something special there because they had a connection,
Okay.
and she was able to hear him. And unless you're able to hear each other, mentally, telepathically, then you don't have the same vibration. You have to be on the same vibration to be able to hear each other. Hira is he. I mean, what I can tell you is he comes from a race of people called Pandorians. Their planet more or less is no more. They had to find another planet, and they can survive in the same atmosphere and conditions as humans. And they were once human, many, many, many eons ago, but they have evolved well and far beyond humans due to their peaceful nature. So here's a question for you. One thing that's really surprised you in the book, but
I thought he was a fun alien. Usually when I read stories And if there's extraterrestrial roles, it's always a question, well, how are they going to work and how are you going to make them? And I thought that your take on this extraterrestrial being was very refreshing and unique, and it was fun. And I like the transformation that happened. That was really cool, like seeing him before and then after. Okay, so clearly, I think you are my most plotter author that has ever come to the show. I have so many pantsers come in. I have some plotsers, some pencilers. But you seem like you plot your stuff out, and then you kind of unleash the
Then
floodgates.
I attack, you know. But I mean, I'm a note taker. I've been a note taker all my life. I'm definitely a plotter. I like to know where I'm going. Now, don't get me wrong. Um, Characters come alive to me. They're like real people. And post writing a book, I don't know about other authors. I kind of, when everything's done and it's set up for pre-order and everything, I'm just kind of like, oh, I
You
really want
miss
to start
them.
writing. Yeah, I really want to start writing the second book because I'm like, I need to start now.
Do you write the beginning and the end and you kind of stick to it? Or because you said it's
Nope,
not written in blood. So how does
nope.
that process evolve?
Yeah. Um, well, like I said, I have my outline, and it starts out as a really loose outline, where I don't block each chapter until I'm ready to write it. Because if I'll like say, okay, this is what's going to happen here, this is going to happen here, and then I'll go down the line. But when I start with that first chapter, um, it's kind of vague. I just want to introduce the characters. I just want to start, I want you to know a little bit about them, and then I'm going to tell you what's going on in their life at that moment. Um, and then from there, like I said, I'll go to the next chapter and then I'll plot that out a little bit. I always tried to write a chapter a night.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, and if I couldn't, then I would just, write down, what I'm thinking in that moment. When I stop, when I have to stop, because I only sleep like 6 hours a night. And if I
Same
stop,
here.
yeah, and if I tell myself, I swear, I'm stopping at 1 o'clock. I'm stopping at 1 o'clock. And
Law.
yeah, lie. Um, then the alarm's going off and I'm just hitting it.
Mhm.
Okay,
Five
five
more
more minutes,
minutes.
5 more minutes.
5 more minutes.
Um, which is the worst thing you can do.
Absolutely.
Um,
100%.
yeah, but then I'll just block it out per chapter. But I will make a note. I'll write down. I keep my notebook here, and I'll say, okay, this is what I was going to write, and blah 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 blah, and that's it. And hopefully, my brain will pick up where it left off. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But there are points where and the characters will kind of like get a mind of their own. Um, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's not. I mean, sometimes I have to say, look, Willie wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? There's no way Willie would do that. She's just
Yeah.
not that girl. So, a lot of times the imagination might run away a little bit. And I'm like, now I did write the
Everyone.
ending. I did write the ending like two or three times. Um,
Okay.
Yeah, because I really wasn't sure. But then finally, I had the three options there on the table, and I went with the one I went with. So hopefully, I
Okay.
made the right choice. Hopefully.
I I think so. I mean, do all your stories have a happy ending? A happily ever
No.
after? No?
No, unfortunately. The pirate stories definitely do not. My pirate books are so authentic. They're not they're not Disney pirates. There's no Johnny Depp in these books, okay? Um,
Aw.
it's a lot of, you know, swashbuckling, a lot of fighting, a lot of stealing, a lot of lying, a lot of robbing, a lot of killing. I mean, it's very authentic.
I definitely need to check your pirate series out. I think we've talked about it before. You gave me the choice if I wanted to read the pirate series or if I wanted to read your newest release.
Oh,
I chose the
yeah.
newest release.
I prefer Hiro-J because, it's what's on the table right now. It's what I mean, like I said, I've always put myself through so much writing all these books. And when I started writing Hiro, I said, you know what? I just want to have fun. I just want to
Yeah.
write what I want to write about. I just want to have a good time. I want the reader to have a good time. I mean, I always tell you, write what you want to read. And I always have. I've always written what I wanted to read. I just wanted to have something that was, something that just make you feel good, and at the same time, make you laugh, make you giggle, make you, maybe tear up a little bit or anything like that. Just something you could just relax. And I mean, even I don't even mind if anybody calls it a palate cleanser, because it was a palate cleanser for me to write it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I've edited and beta read so many books in the last year that I just wanted to do something that was, that would just clear my head, that would just, give me something fun. And I missed the creative process. I missed telling stories, because that's what I like to do, is tell a story. And
Yeah.
so I said, I want this story to be interesting, fun, quirky, have a little
Explain.
meaning behind it, and just let the reader have a good time, and hopefully want another book. So far, the title for the next book is Hiro-J Survival, because
Oh, okay.
something is coming. So we
Oh,
just don't know what it is yet. No, I know what
okay.
it is, but
No, it was definitely a fun book. I didn't know what to expect. I kind of went in it a little blind. Um, and it hadn't come out yet. So usually I preview the books before I commit to doing the interview, because you never know. I've read a
hmm
lot of indie books. Sometimes they're just poorly written or they have a lot of typos, and sometimes I can't get through them, and I don't like committing myself to an interview if I can't get through the book. So
I
with
don't blame you.
you, I took a little risk. I figured it's her 13th book, so she must know what she's doing. So I went to it completely blind. I knew that there was going to be, obviously, I read the blurb, so I knew as much as the blurb said. Um,
hmm
but no, I agree. I think you were successful. It was a fun book. It's definitely a book that you read for entertainment in between maybe bigger tomes. If you need a,
hmm
if you need like as you said, a palate cleanser from like these massive romantasy books that are popular right
hmm
now. It's a great, fun little story, and if you wanted me to giggle, girly, I giggled. I
Good,
definitely
good,
giggled,
good, good.
and like good giggles too. Like all the trunk junk stuff made me laugh so much. When they're in the when they're in the room, and Logan is like, "Wait, you saw his?" I died. I died. That was so funny. So you did something very interesting. This whole book happens in their head. Technically, it's a
Mhm.
it's telepathy, most of it,
Right.
um, and thought sharing scenes and kind of like conversations happening at the same time as thought sharing. How did you maneuver all of that? Do you have any unique techniques or any advice for kind of doing that stuff?
Okay. I use Microsoft Word Read Aloud, and
Okay.
after I write a heavy dialogue scene, especially, I always put my earbuds in and have Microsoft Word read it back to me. And if it doesn't sound natural, if it doesn't sound like I'm sitting at a table listening to a conversation next to me,
Interesting.
then I have to go back through it and do it again. And yeah, that's how I edit too. I do my regular edit. I usually edit a book at least 3 times, which is why it takes me so long. I do it first. I do what I call a hard edit for someone, where I go through, get all the typos, fix all the, the quotation marks, whatever. Go through, get all the really obvious stuff. Get rid of all that. Take care of all that. Then the second one, I go through and I line it. I go through, if sentences don't make sense, I fix the sentences, do all that kind of stuff. But then when I get into the developmental edit, that's when I put in the earbuds, chapter one, line one, and I let Microsoft Word read me the book. Because your eyes can only, I mean, your eyes can catch a lot, but when you got your eyes and your ears working together, and because your eyes can play tricks on you.
Yeah.
But your ears, you're going to hear it. You're going to hear if something doesn't sound right. So that's what I always do whenever I write a dialogue scene, especially something like this, because it was kind of, like you said, you had regular dialogue and you had voices going on underneath that dialogue, to where, Hiro is trying to talk, and she's the one saying, "You need to get out of my head right now, leave me alone." Um, but yeah, and more or less how I do that, so that I know that if it sounds like I'm listening to a conversation that's taking place at a table next to me in a restaurant, then I'm good. You know what I mean? Then I know it makes sense. So
Yeah.
there's that.
Actually, you just brought memory to my head when you were talking about like when she was like, "You really need to get out of my head right now." The shower scene.
Shower scene.
You know, I have to say, I was like when you were describing her showering, I was like, okay, something's gonna happen, but I don't think it's what I think is gonna happen. And then and then what you did, which I'm not gonna spoil it for anybody because it was I honestly, my own personal opinion, I think the shower scene was hotter than the final scene.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But that was like a prelude because you're like, okay, well, if that can happen from that distance and it's only, and it's not like he's sitting there with a remote going, he's doing all this with his head. So it's like, but yeah,
Yes.
those are
Yes.
definitely big giggle scenes. Yeah.
So
And
for
boy, was she
obviously
float boy. Poor Logan. Poor Logan.
so for everyone in the chat, obviously you haven't read the book, but I am here to tell you with full confidence that telepathy can be really, really sensual and fun.
What is the biggest female sex organ? The
Uh,
brain.
you're right.
So
You're
there
right.
you go.
Well, yeah. No, that it was well done. It was very well done. I was wondering if you were gonna have fun with that, and then you did, and I was like, yeah, okay, I approve. This is all the game.
Absolutely.
This is great.
But
I feel
anyway, go
like
ahead.
if I had to do top 10 scenes from this show so far, I have one for everyone that I've interviewed. Yours is definitely that scene. Like never, I will never forget that scene.
Good. Good.
Which
uh,
actually your book is very cinematic. There was a point and there were two moments while I was reading it that I felt like it would be such a great and I mean this in the best way possible. I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but like made for TV movie. It's
oh
like,
no, that's fine with me.
like it's
Yeah.
just so I feel like this is the type of movie that I would have loved like being going through the channels and like start with her like in the diner and I would stay for the diner, I would stay for candy and then like all of these things would happen.
It's that new channel they're coming out with that's called Sci-Fi Hallmark. So you never know. No, I'm just kidding.
I love actually you would be perfect. That would be actually that's how you should describe your novel. Sci-fi Hallmark.
or Sci-Fi Lifetime maybe. Even Sci-Fi Lifetime might be a good one.
Sci-fi
But
Lifetime is good too.
but the book is exactly. I mean, believe me, I'm not sitting up here thinking I'm writing, English literature. Um,
Oh come on.
this particular book. Now, if you were to read Broken Shutters or Fireflies or one of those, it's a whole different prose,
Okay.
completely different prose, and it's because it's historical fiction. Um, and so when I write historical fiction, I write in historical fiction prose. But
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I can definitely switch up my prose real quickly and easily
Nice.
depending on
Cool.
the subject matter. But yeah, I did not go into this. This, like I said, I wanted to write this story because I wanted this story. I wanted to tell the story. I wanted to read the story, and I wanted to and have write something that I was gonna have a lot of fun with. And like I said, the hardest part of writing modern fantasy, romantasy, or fiction is if you're going to go into the scientific aspects and you're really going to dig down deep into it. Now, personally, I don't, that's not my thing. Reading that, let's put it that way. I don't need to know how a car runs. I just need to know when I get in and push that button, I just want it to start and drive me where I got to go. You know what I mean? But I understand there are people who have that kind of, brain where they want to know how everything works, and I'm fine with that. But if you need to know exactly why every single thing that happens, then you're not interested in magic. You're interested in knowing how things happen. And I wanted this book to have just the right balance of scientific explanation and magic. And I think that I did it. And that was what made me happy when I was done, was I was content. I said, it's going to be a nice, light summer read. You want to sit down on the deck with your cocktail and put your feet up and,
Yes, it's
and just
perfect for that.
enjoy a nice evening of reading. I mean,
That's
it's like
exactly
eight
how
and a
I
half.
read
I
it.
think it's 8.5 hours. It's like 8.5 hours long. It's not that long of a book to read.
No, it isn't.
Um,
It's a quick
but
read. Book boyfriends, they're written by women, so they're done to cater,
well,
you
I
know?
mean, nothing against male authors. I mean, I do hear male authors sometimes they get a lot of flack on here on TikTok. Like they don't understand, the when they talk about females, they do this and they do that. And I'm thinking in my mind, well, then help them, tell them when if you're going to write a book and you have a female character in your book, don't tell me what size bra she wears. Don't tell me, what. Never mind. I'm not even going to get graphic with this. But if you think that this male author is being overly descriptive of the female in his book, then just maybe reach out and say, as a woman, you know, I would really prefer, that you didn't objectify her like that. And I'm very conscious of that when I write, as far as men are concerned. If you notice, I don't talk about how big things are or how small things are or, any of that. I mean, I feel like, you know what? Let's
Leave it to
let's
the
be
imagination.
let's be fair here. Let's be fair. If we're gonna be nice about the ladies, let's be nice about the men too.
But that being said, though, we never, you know, playing devil's advocate here.
Hmm.
When we make book boyfriends, we never make them overweight. We always make them muscular. We
Hmm.
always make them tall. We
Hmm.
always make them, there's a certain vine of thought when we do book boyfriends. We never make them
Well, like you
unconventionally
said, yeah.
attractive.
Well, which is fine. Which is fine. I understand what you're saying. I guess what I'm saying is they get really down to minute details when they write about the female anatomy and whatnot. And but you know what? I guess you're right. I guess in that instance, unless it was something that was really offensive, I probably wouldn't care. I really wouldn't. I mean, what do I care? What some other woman's anatomy is like. I mean, it's just, yeah, he wrote it. That's the way he sees it. Because I have read a lot of books by female authors who've been very, very descriptive about. I mean, I was just,
Yes.
I just, what was it, last week I read Lights Out, and I never really was into that kind of book before. You know what I mean? And I'm like, just read it. Just go. Well, of course I didn't read it. I got the audiobook. And I'm driving.
Okay, I
I'm
want to hear what you
driving.
have to say. Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I'm driving down. No, and I turned it off.
No, that book, yeah, no,
I was
I
like,
also
wait a minute.
I also got the audiobook for Lights Out, and holy moly.
Yeah,
I thought it was hot though.
it is. Oh, it is. It's very hot. I really like it. I like the fact that here's what I like about it is the fact that these are you get to know them as people, as
Hmm.
individuals.
You
You know
do.
what I mean? You really get to know them as individuals. And, I think Josh is funny. I think I like
I
his
love how
character.
funny he is. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a great sense of humor and everything. And even though he wants to do all these things, he's got this constantly in the back of his mind. Oh, I'm gonna be just like my father. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And that's real. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's something that a real person would think.
Agreed.
Is yeah, could I go too far? Could have been, but as soon as the cat liked him, I was like, he's got to be a decent guy because a cat would not like him if he wasn't. You know what I mean?
No, and I think you bring a good point. I mean, that whole situation of like written by men, written by women. The person I interviewed before you, a man wrote sex scenes from a male point of view, and they came out amazing. They were so good. He really, granted, he filtered it through his wife like 17 times. She was like, you know, she's apparently she's read 70 something books a year. So she was like, there, like,
That's a smart guy. I mean, that's a smart. I watched that. I watched that interview actually. I was
oh
watching.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I think that was brilliant. I think that's a good idea that that he did that because believe me, I'm not. In one of my books, which one is it? Jaded Tides. There's a scene in there that's like 5 pages long.
Okay.
Okay, and I I don't know. I just went off the rails with the spice. And one of my I must have been feeling some kind of way when I wrote that, right? And there it
Look,
was.
one of my favorite quotes of my show the whole time is Heather J. Jones. I interviewed, I think she's two persons ago, and she says, "Don't yuck on someone else's yum." It's one of my favorite quotes ever, and I feel like that's what it is. You know, just don't yuck on someone else's yum.
I like that. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but
Yeah,
I could be bad. I could really do better with the spice.
you know, people think writing spice is easy. I've heard
It's
it so many times,
hard. It's
but it's
really
hard.
hard.
It's
It is
really
so
hard.
hard to keep it natural, and you are so right. It is not easy.
It's not
It is
easy.
so hard to write good spice. Yeah, and that's what my sister-in-law said to me. She goes, "I was expecting more stuff," and I was like, "I told you that is not my forte, but I will work on it for you for the second book." And she's like, "Okay, good." So I was like, "Holy mackerel!"
No, I mean, I think this book was like about intimacy being earned, and so they didn't
Yes,
earn it until later. So it makes sense. But yeah,
right.
definitely as their relationship evolves, it makes more sense that they have more intimacy, I guess.
Emotional, yeah, absolutely.
So what about reviews? How do you feel about reviews? How do you react when someone says something positive or negative, or talk me through that? You don't
It is
care.
what it is. Here's the thing. When I first published Fireflies, I was on the outs with a certain family member. Within a month of the book being published, they had completely trashed it on every platform that it was on. They were giving me 1-star reviews. They were saying that the book was terrible, that it was
That's
this, was that,
awful.
and it kept, and it was pulling down my average on my reviews and stuff. And I reached out to Barnes and Nobles and I reached out to Amazon and I was like, look, I know who this is. I mean, they even got me on my website. I mean, went to my website and we're doing all kind of stuff. And, but they said that there was nothing they could do. And although I believe Amazon did end up, finding, realizing there was something going on. And I don't know how they did it. I don't really care as long as so they did, I think, remove like one or two.
Hmm.
Um, and I'll be honest with you, way back then in 2013, oh, I was like appalled if somebody did, thought that the book was bad or something like that. And I would be like, not appalled, but I'd be like really sad and I'd be, oh my gosh. And then one day I was like, what is wrong with you? You know, it, not everybody is going to like what you do. Some people just hate everything. Some people hate you. Some people don't like blonde hair. Some people don't like glasses. Some people don't like, you know, you cannot please everyone. And if you try, you're just going to run yourself into the ground because nobody's ever going to, not, you can't please everybody. Yeah, after that experience, um, I got a really thick skin. And I mean, maybe that's what happened. Maybe it was like you need to understand that you might think you do everything perfectly, but you don't, ma'am. You know, and so get used to it.
Yeah.
Get used to getting some criticism from people that they may be really dumb. Who knows? And I'm just kidding, but
They just might have really bad taste. It's not their
yeah,
fault.
exactly. They have terrible taste. But no, I don't care anymore. I mean, it doesn't bother me. Don't get me wrong. When I first got into this, money, fame, all of that, furthest thing from my mind. I couldn't have cared less. And thank God because it didn't come. And, so it was like, all I cared about was I just wanted people to read my stories. I just wanted them to read my books. And, I've won a couple awards, and Fireflies, in particular, um, took a silver medal in Reader's Favorite for fantasy. Um, and yeah, and I got a honorable mention in New Apple Book Awards for, I think it was Demons and Pearls. I can't remember, but yeah, I mean, it's nice to get that, and it's really it to me. I call that food for my writing because it makes me feel like, okay, you're doing something right. You know what I mean? Because why would you keep doing the same thing over and over again if all you did was constantly, you know, feel like you did it for nothing? You have to have another motivation other than money and fame, or you're never going to succeed. You really got to enjoy doing it. You really got to love it. It's got to be something that, like, if you don't get it out of yourself, you feel like you're going to just explode. It's like
Yeah.
therapy. And for me, that's what it is. If you're only in it for fame and fortune, then why even do it?
Yeah.
Because it just makes me happy when I get an email from somebody and they'll say, "Oh my gosh, I read your book and it was really fun and I really enjoyed it," or "God, it broke my heart," and blah blah blah, and whatever. That makes me feel good.
And in that vein, what has been the highlight of your career
Um,
as an author? I mean,
as an author, the highlight is the when your kids, adult kids, tell you, "Mom, I am so proud of you."
oh, that's so
I,
sweet.
they're like, especially my son. Well, my daughter, she does too, but my son is just like, he's like, "Mom, you are the perfect example of anybody who says they don't have enough time to do something, they're lying. They're wasting time." He said,
Sweet.
"Because I watched you, you know, work all day, come home, cook, clean, take care of us, do this, do that, run me back and forth here and there until I got a car, and you still wrote that book." And and when people say to me, "You're just tenacious. When you make up your mind to do something, you do it." And I said that I don't know any other way. I've never known. So that is what gets me is when my kids, say
That's
that to
wonderful.
me. Um, that really makes me feel good because that's what I tell them. I'm like, this is my legacy. This is it. Now, yeah, through you, and if you have children or whatever, yeah, I live forever. But this is how I live forever.
Yeah.
That my kids, my grandkids, my great grandchildren will be able to look and say, my grandmother or great grandmother's. This is part of her. She wrote this book. And when your kids turn around and say that to you, that's the golden moment right there.
Yeah, that's
So
wonderful. That's beautiful.
yeah,
So, if you had one piece of advice for authors that are starting out, or even to your younger self, what would you say?
start younger. Start a lot younger. If I had it to do over, yeah, that's the whole thing with anything in life. Do not put it off. Don't wait. Just do it. You know what I mean? I've done so many fun, cool things in my life, and I've never let anything hold me back.
Well, tell us what's next for you. Where can we find you? Do a complete shameless plug.
Okay, shameless plug. You can probably find everything you want to know if you care. um, at it's PS as in Sam, or Sue rather, PS Bartlett.me. Um, that's my website. I've had that website forever, probably since 2011. Um, so psbartlett.me. Anything you want to look for me, it's PS Bartlett author, because there are watches, old time watches. They go by the name of PS Bartlett, so that might come up.
Mm.
But I'm on TikTok, I'm on Facebook, and I'm on Instagram. and I'm also on a few other things. But yeah, most of the information will be right on my website. I update it almost daily. Um,
Oh
lots of
wow.
blog posts, and follow me. Uh, uh, Follow me wherever you are. Uh, and Yeah, that's the plug. I mean, like I said, you can go to Amazon, look me up, P.S. Bartlett. You'll see all my books there. Um, and here's my I don't know if you can I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. That is my book tattoo, and what this is my quill, and every one of these birds represents a book I've written. So
That's
plans are
cool.
tomorrow. I got to go get. I didn't get the other three birds added, so I need to get three. I need to get four more birds added.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome. That's
so
so cool.
it's like I just want to. I said, my husband's like, "What are you gonna do?" I said, "I'm gonna let them go all the way up my arm. Is what I'm gonna do." And
Yeah.
so as you can see, they're all like flying off of and
The
the quill.
quilt.
The point of the quill goes right into my vein. So that's what it means.
Love
Is
it.
that you know the blood goes a lot of blood, sweat, and tears goes into it.
Nice.
But
Um,
you gotta have a lot of fun too, because if you're not having fun,
then what's the point?
why do it? Don't even bother. You know,
Okay.
I mean, doing stuff like this, like talking to you, um, this is my favorite part of it. Is just getting to meet new people, talking to people, having people ask me questions, makes me feel important. You know what I mean?
Very important. No, but you should be really proud of yourself. I'm struggling to write one book. You've written 13, so that's not something to be shy about.
Make
That's really
time for yourself, make time for yourself, and you always have to put yourself first, because if you don't take care of yourself and what you need to get done, then you're you know you're definitely cheating yourself out of get it done. So
yeah.
just get yourself a little book and just put, even if it's 2 days a week, you know, cut
Right.
cut 2 hours for yourself. You have to make time for yourself in order to get done what's best for you first, and that way you can do your best for everybody else.
Thank you so much for joining me
Thank you
tonight. This
so
has been
much.
a
Oh,
wonderful 2 hours. What a
I put this
bookish.
on the TikTok shop. No, I'm just kidding. No, I really did.
Your book was great. I enjoyed it. I recommend people that would like that genre or want a little breath of fresh air, something different that they've never read before. Go check it out. It launched today. Hiro-J by P.S. Bartlett. Um, Go get it. Go read it, and then chat me about it and chat her about it. Go follow her. And again, thank you so much for being with me tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast. It's so nice to talk to somebody and I can just be my crazy self and just have fun. So that's great.
Well, have a good night. Thanks so much. We'll stay in contact.
Yes, indeed. Thanks.